Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our weekend Hebrew study. We are, as we alternate every other week between the book of Samuel and the book of Matthew, we are in Matthew today, and we're still in chapter 1, and we're looking at verse 24. And what I'd like to do first is show this to you in the King James Version, which you may be a little familiar with. And it says, "And Joseph, being raised from sleep, did as the angel of the Lord had bidden him, and took unto him his wife." So going back to the Hebrew portion of it here, again, we're just looking at these words somewhat closely and learning what we can about it. And so we see the word that's translated in after has the vav conjunction here, meaning and, achare, and this is somewhat in a construct form, and so it connects with the next word, and after, and it usually would have the word of, meaning it's connected together. Then this next word is kind of interesting. It's shechashav, and the sheen at the front with the segol underneath is, I believe, a kind of a preposition of the word there. And because chashav is in its third masculine singular state with that common vowel pointing, so that one's pretty easy to identify. But what's what we're trying to understand here is, what was Joseph thinking? We're trying to put ourselves in his place, that here he is, being about to be interacted and have had some interaction with um, the divine nature of God. His wife has obviously told him, what has happened to her, and he is just, a mess of emotions, um, trying to figure out what to do. We know that previously he was not going to expose her to potential death by stoning for being adulterous or promiscuous, and so he was going to, put her away in secret. But then something happens pretty wonderful here, and so he was thinking about these things, and the word thought has a deeper meaning in the Hebrew. It's more of with an intention to plan. So he's not just thinking about, oh, this is happening, this is happening. He's trying to formulate a plan in his heart. Remember, he was going to not put her away, but he was going to leave her secretly, and so he was trying to think of how to do that. So he's trying to put this together, because there's no precedence for this. There's nothing that's going to help him say, oh, someone else did this a while ago and I'll just follow the same course of action. This is all new, this is all fresh. And so he's trying to get a plan of action. And so he thought and about this. The word zot means this. And then we come across a word that's one of my favorite words in the Hebrew Bible, and it is the word hine. You will find hine is used most commonly before there is a spiritual encounter, most commonly before you meet an angel or before something profound happens. It would be hine, and it's really, behold, this is incredible, this wonderful thing is happening. A lot of exclamation points behind the word hine. And so, what's about to happen, as we read in the King James, is that an angel of the Lord appears to them. But in the English translation, which is taken from a Greek translation, there's things missing, and that bring clarity. So it says an angel of the Lord. Well, in Hebrew, the word angel is very challenging to understand, because we're going to take a look at the dictionary of the Targumim. Um, the word malach, which is many times and most often translated into angel, really means to do work. It is a work of a messenger. It is like someone who, you see these guys in New York City that are couriers that hop on their bicycles, and they got a satchel over their back, and they're weaving in and out of traffic to hand deliver documents because they have to be there right at this moment. Those people would be called malaks. Um, And so that's where this comes from. It's someone with a message from someone who is superior to them, and it's a form of work. Now, the English translators, and of course Hebrew too, look at this and say, okay, well, there's nothing here that tells me that this is not a word specifically addressed to a divine or spiritual angelic being. It's up to the reader to try to put together where this is coming from and what category does this messenger fall into? Because you'll find the word messenger throughout the Hebrew Bible, and as we see, it's used here in the Hebrew book of Matthew too, that this is a messenger, someone who's on a mission sent from God. And it's up to the reader to try to understand where it came from. But what I find interesting here, what you've seen before in the King James Version, it says it was an angel of the Lord, and Lord was not capitalized. Now, in the Hebrew Bible, there are three different titles, names, if you will, that are associated to God. One would be Yahweh, the other one would be Elohim, and then there is Adonai. And so when you see the word Lord and only the first letter is capitalized, it it is normally associated with Adonai. And there are many Adonais in the Bible. It just means master. It means Lord in the way that someone has authority over someone else. So that's what I find really interesting here in the Hebrew is that it has these two little yuds, two little marks up in the corner here is an abbreviation for what is called the tetragrammaton. And I know I've spoken on this before, and many of you have heard this before. This is the Yud He Vav He, which are the four letters called the tetragrammaton. It is the name of God in the Hebrew Bible that some would translate as Yahweh. In fact, no one knows how to really translate it in English because the vowel pointings are lost. All we have are the four consonants of the Yud, He, Vav, He, or the YH, VH. And having, eight other vowels, you do the math, raise it to the fourth power, you can have numerous ways of how to pronounce this um, word. Some people are maybe 90% sure it's Yahweh. When the King James Version was written, they thought it was Jehovah or Jehovah. And so the truth is no one really knows how to pronounce it. And so the Jewish people, out of respect of not wanting to take the name of the Lord in vain, would not pronounce it when they were reading it. In fact, here they even would go and abbreviate it. And so what you're seeing here are these two little yods that are abbreviated. They do have the vowel pointings of a Shiva underneath and a comets to kind of guide you, if you will. But I translated it here as a tetragrammaton, the Yud He Vav He. But what's interesting to me is how did Joseph know who this was? Why wasn't it translated Malach or messenger of Adonai? Or why wasn't it translated as messenger of Elohim? And I believe it has to do with what happened in his dream. The Yud He Vav He, or the Yahweh, is actually a feminine word, has a feminine ending on it. When it ends in a comet's He, it is indicative of a feminine ending. And so the Jews would agree that this is connotating the um, compassionate, merciful, loving side of God, as opposed to Elohim, which would be the judgmental, um, the vengeance, the take action, the ruling, dominating part of God. And so this nature of his mercy coming out here, because, what was Joseph's dream like? I mean, we've all had dreams that we woke up from and we'd be in a cold sweat and we'd be just beside ourselves wondering, scary nightmares, we call them. I don't believe this was a nightmare. I believe here we see the use of this word saying that this was a dream that was very loving and very encouraging to Joseph, not to, scare the wits out of him and, impress upon him how powerful and mysterious God was, but to show him the mercies of God and give him a comfort and give him a direction that he was going to be taken care of. And so it says this messenger of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, of Yahweh, appeared to him. So we have the word appear, which is the Nun Resh Aleph Hey. The Nun indicates that this is in a Nephal form. So this doesn't make it it makes it in a little bit more of a passive form of this happened. There isn't the indication that there was lightning and thunder and that the bed shook and that Joseph was lifted off the bed and transported to another realm. It just says that he appeared. No intensivity to it, no fanfare that appeared to him. And then it uses the word in a dream. The bait is the preposition of in, and halom is the word for dream. And so he was seen in a dream. And how Joseph put this all together, again, when you have a spiritual encounter, how do you really know what's happening? You don't always have evidence. You don't have things that fit together that you can say, well, because this happened, I know this is what caused it. Sometimes you just know that you know. And I believe this is something that happened here, that Joseph was in the presence of God and a complete understanding, a complete trust, a complete confidence, a complete knowing of entering into God's realm and being um, ushered in, being brought to a complete understanding, came to Joseph and gave him this confidence and this ability to take action that he knew for certain what was God's will. So a lot of that packed in, which the Hebrew, again, is why it's so fascinating to be able to look into this. And so I hope you appreciate that. I hope your day goes well. Thanks again for tuning in. God bless you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.